Hello, my friends. Hey, it's good to see you. How you doing today? It's a beautiful day out there in the Pacific Northwest. It's actually it's been raining hard all morning long, which is pretty nice actually. It's like taking down all the pollen and giving the trees some more water and settling things down a little bit. But it's pretty nice. Hey, my name's Gene Tagaban. We're just getting on for our Native Wellness Power Hour here for noontime here, and I'll be telling some stories and talking a little bit about what it means to be an awesomistic. And an awesomistic, what is that, man? An awesomistic is more of a that's a superpower. It's a mystical superpower. It's about trying to find the awesome in everything around you. Even when life is just hard, eh? Even when life is just hard, it's just looking out for that and keeping an eye for that. Keeping an eye for that. And so we're just kind of waiting for people to get on here as we're just kind of hanging out here right now. But it's really good to see you all. It's really good to see you. And it's today's session. I'm just going to be hanging out and talking, telling some stories, and sharing some. There'll be some kid stories, maybe. There might be some more adult stories. We'll see how it goes. I really don't know, to be honest with you. Kind of have a schedule, but who knows how that goes. I might just toss that out the window, which I usually do. So, hey, I gotta just say hi to my brother Chris. He's another storyteller out there. Margaret, thanks for coming on in. We got a few people. Margaret from Nova Scotia, Houston, Texas. Tony, right on, brother. It's good to have you on. And you'll see me doing this a little bit because I got a couple cameras going on at the same time because my wife's recording another session here for me. She's a teacher, and so my hands up. I want to shout out to our teachers, man. They're working at home. They're having they're struggling because they got to learn a new way of teaching and a new style. So shout out to the teachers and all of you parents out there who are just doing the best that you can, and you're struggling, trying to put together this lesson plan. It's you're doing okay. Just chill out a little bit. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Mostly, just spend time with your children. Spend time with them. And what my wife said was the most important thing you could do is read, 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 read. Find stories, read stories, learn stories, tell about your own personal stories. But be careful. You don't tell your kids all of your stories. Yeah, there's some secrets that you need to keep. And so there's those things too. And then get them out there singing, get them out there dancing. And as we say, get them out there, do some dirt time, man. Take their shoes off. Let their feet feel the earth. Get muddy. Remember what it was like to make those mud pies, and you throw them at each other. Do some dirt time. And get them muddy. Get dirty and get muddy with them and do some dirt time. Instead of sitting back in your chair and watching them play and just going, wow, that's so nice. Oh, I love my children. Oh, they're having such a good time. Join them. Join them. Go down to the creek. Go down to the beach because we can still go outside. Just stay safe and just get in the water a little bit. Remember what it's like when kids, they don't care. They can get in the water and it might be freezing cold. I remember when I was a kid growing up in Alaska, I'd jump into the glacier ice water, and just start walking around. And kids, they don't care. They don't care. It's as us, once we get to be an adult, we walk through this filter like we have to grow up or something like that. And then all of a sudden everything gets all cold and freezing. Oh, I can't handle it anymore. Oh, BS, man. That's just you forgot what it meant. You forgot what it meant. You put too much meaning on things. Just get in the water. Do some dirt time. Yeah. So your parents are doing well. You're doing fine. Give yourself a pat on the back. Just be a mom. Be a parent. Be a dad. Any dads out there, be a dad. Be the example. Anyways, hey, we got more people coming on here. Yeah, Thea, my sister, right on. Michelle, hey, good seeing you, sister, right on. Yeah, Michelle knows what it's like to be getting into that water. She loves to get into that water, that cold water. Yeah. Okay, cool. So as we've gotten started here, I just want to light a bit of medicine, some sage. I don't know about you, but I've been burning a lot of this lately. I usually do, but lately. But this is one of our things that we could do. We could do our virtual distance prayers, eh? And this here smudge is going out to you, out to all of you, and just like send it out to all of you, because we could do that. We can like send up prayers as that intention in our minds. Set our intention in our minds where we want that energy, that love to go out there. And just also send those prayers out there. I'm sending those prayers out to you, but mostly don't forget about yourself. You're worthy. You need those prayers. We can pray about everybody else out there. We can pray about everything else out there, and then we forget about praying for ourselves. You got to pray for yourself too. We need that strength. We need that help. We can't always just be giving. You got to like be able to accept too. And if somebody says thank you to you, thank you for helping me out, just say you're welcome. As simple as that. You're welcome. So konachish. And so get started with this song as we're going. As I sing this song again, I'm going to just ask you all, just think of the land of your ancestors. Think of the land of your people. That old days. And if you can't remember where you came from, or maybe you're from that stolen generation, think of a sunset. Yeah, think of a sunset. Or a sunrise. Or maybe you watched a rainbow coming off of a waterfall. And that struck you. Or who knows, maybe you just watched in the fall time how the leaves just fall off the trees. Yeah. Things like that, and so just take that time right now to bring our minds together and our hearts and our spirits together. And so, take a deep breath and let's just be as one right now. As we go into this, so many things that I'm thankful for. Again, life is a story, and we're all a story. And so this session here is talking about storytelling and being an awesomistic. Awesome. Looking for the awesome in the world, and believing in the magic, the mystical about it. That's about being that awesomistic. Because life can be magical. Yesterday I was riding my bike. I ride my bike a lot, and we're riding through a park. I live right next to a park, and the park is closed right now, only to walkers, runners, and cyclists. I'm really enjoying this time, and I'm seeing nature taking it over. Because these roads that usually would be pavement and open, now moss is starting to grow over it. And you can see the pollen. The pollen is so thick that when I'm riding my bike through the park, that my wheels are just turning green from all the pollen. And the other day we had rain, and so it knocked down all the buds, that are on the trees, and they're covering these roads that are usually clear because there's so much traffic going through it. And I'm riding my bike, and I'm just just taking in all the beauty as I'm riding my bike. And as I'm riding my bike, these little chickadees, I'll tell you what, I love the chickadees, man. If you want to like model yourself, everyone takes a look at those big hawks, those eagles that are flying through the sky, you know, the big birds, those predators and things like that. I tell you what, I love the chickadees. If you want to be like, model your life after a bird, those chickadees are tough, man. Those chickadees are durable. All these chickadees were flying down, and they're like gathering up all these here buds and foods. The worms are on the foods too, so robins are collecting themselves on the pavement too. Coming down as I'm riding my bike, I believe that they recognize me. As I'm walking through and I ride my bike through the park, I'm always saying, thank you, thank you. And I'll notice these trees, and I wonder if as I'm going through the park, I'm riding through the park, and I notice these trees, these big, beautiful trees for the first time. I know that they see me. And that's why I notice them, because they see me and they acknowledge me. And I hold my hands up, oh, brother, relative, oh, it's so good to see you. It's so good to see you over here too. And then the chickadees and everything, all these birds are on the pavement gathering foods and just getting together, because you see that the birds, they don't have to practice physical boundaries, social distancing or anything like that. So they're getting together and they're really enjoying this time together. I could tell because they're singing. And you can see a bird when it's joyous and it's happy because the actions that they take and the songs they sing. And as I'm riding by, I know they recognize me because they don't move. I have to zigzag a little bit, my bike, ride really slow, and they just kind of like, they're just doing their thing, then they look up at me and say, hey, brother, how you doing? And they keep doing their thing. Hey, it's good to see you. Hey, brother, hey. Mr. Robin, hey, brother, how you doing? And I'm just going, hey, it's really good to be here. Oh, my relatives, it's good to be here. And so it's like really cool watching those chickadees and the birds, the robins, and the blue jays up in the trees looking down and things like that. And all these birds as I'm riding through, and and when you build that relationship, oftentimes we say, take some little bit of tobacco and offer it. And I suggest that you do that. Offer it for these gifts. If you see something awesome out there, offer it. Thank you. Thank you for just showing me. And it's one of those things too, sometimes you don't have it, but it's about, there's a presence. And it's about offering presence with presence. Your presence with their presence. That's about being in the moment, in the now. And so as I'm riding my bike through this trail and on the roads, the deer are showing up as well. The deer, the herds that have been hiding in the forests, away from all the people, away from the cars, away from the trash, away from people. I don't know why that when we go out there, we feel like we have to talk all the time. But the deer are coming out. And again, they say, hey, brother, how you doing? I'm going, oh, it's good to be out here, man. It's good to be out here as I'm riding my bike through. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But I'm seeing the wilderness starting to take over the park. And it doesn't take long. And it's one of those things, too, is like I'm really thankful for that. And I was telling my wife just the other day that when things start to open up, they open up the park, allow cars to come in, people to come in. They open up many of these other parts, the beaches and such. But this one park, I'm going to feel a sense of grief. I am. Just because I'm going to miss it. This is a special time. This is a special time, and I'm going to really miss the solitude of just being in that park with nobody else around, no cars. And I'm going to feel a sense of grief. And so many people are feeling grief now because they can't go out to the stores or shopping or this and that, get their hair cut. whatever it is that they need to do. For me, it's just, I'm going to feel a sense of grief because the solitude is, as much of the solitude is going to disappear. Because in the solitude, amongst us thinking people during the wintertime, we have this thing, it's called the time to look within. And that's the wintertime. Where you sit inside and you tell stories, you do the artwork, you create, you sing songs together. And this is the time to look within. And that's what we're doing here now. Taking that time to look within. Time to really, truly take a look at who are you? Time to really take a look at, like, what is my story? What's my story? And in this time when things get hard and tough, it's like it's just like looking for the awesome in things, the magic, being that awesomystic, the mystical, looking for it. And where do you find it? You find it in the in-between. In the in-between. So many times we take a look at the prominent things, the houses, the buildings, the big trees, even the mountains. But if we take a look at the in-between the houses, in between the trees, the branches, the in-betweens, you'll find awesomeness is everywhere. It's everywhere. You see, it reminds me of a time when I was in Washington, D.C. And this one time I was in Washington, D.C. and I was doing a show at the National Museum of American Indian. And so I'm walking around the back here in D.C. and people walking back and forth. It was lunchtime. It was a beautiful day. And there's this beautiful oak tree that was right outside the door where I come out at. I'm just sitting there eating my lunch, and I just got up, just did a little stretch, and I looked up. And as I looked up, this hawk comes just flying right on by this here group of pigeons and spooked the pigeons. And so the pigeons took off, and they started to flutter and fly into the sky. And this hawk was awesome. Oh my goodness. This hawk went straight up and this turned and dived down. And this here one pigeon, whack, just took out this pigeon. Boom. Have you ever seen that happen, man? And the hawk just went boom, and feathers just went poof from this here pigeon. And so the feathers poof took this pigeon out. And this hawk took this pigeon and landed right in the oak tree, maybe about 12, 15 feet right above me. And I'm standing there, and I'm just really checking this out, going, oh my God, did you see that? Oh my. And the hawk is just there, just tearing into this pigeon. And you can tell the hawk is joyous, man. And he knows that I saw what just happened. And that hawk just goes, yeah, man, I'm bad. Did you see that? Did you see that? And I'm going, brother, I saw that, man. I saw it. Yeah, that was awesome. And so it's just tearing into this pigeon. And I'm all these people around me, and nobody saw it. Nobody's noticing this. And I'm like the lone Indian on the side of the road, on the side of the sidewalk, looking up into the tree, just looking up there, and everybody else walking on by, on their phones, walking on by. And I said, everyone stop. I just yelled, stop. Everyone stop. And everyone just looked at me like, oh, man, this guy's nuts. This guy's crazy. And I said, look, check that out, man. We got a red-tailed hawk, and it just hunted. And it got that pigeon right there, man. And all the people, they turned and they looked up. And then they went, oh my God, that's disgusting. Ooh, that's disgusting. That's just gross. They have that here? That's just all around us? Oh my goodness. I was just going, oh man, you guys don't know what you're missing. But what was really cool about it was that as that hawk was tearing into that pigeon, just having himself a pigeon meal, that all of a sudden a squirrel whoosh, pops his head out from, there's a Y there, and there's a little hole there. And the squirrel popped his head right out of that hole, and it's like looking around, like doing what squirrels do. Looking around, being a squirrel. Looking around, and that hawk saw that squirrel tearing that pigeon, and the hawk saw that squirrel, looked down, checked it out. and that hawk was just like still. And that squirrel's like, oh man, it's a good day today. Holy, look at that. The sun's out, man. All right, I'm going to go get some food. I'm going to run around. Maybe I'll scare some people because people are freaking out because I'm an animal. I'm a squirrel. Maybe I'll do that. And just right as that hawk jumps up and just like goes to get the squirrel. But the squirrel saw it. And he's like, holy, and it's just right at the last minute. The squirrel looked up and said a few words, I'm sure, and said, went back down. The hawk missed it. And everyone's like freaking out. Oh my God, he almost got that squirrel. Thank God, he almost got that squirrel. The hawk went up there, got the pigeon, and then he just started munching on that pigeon up there. And then he had enough. And I'm just checking this whole site out. And it was just beautiful. To me it was. And then the hawk said, oh, I've had enough. And then just flew off. You know, to me, that was awesome. And it's one of those things, an elder told me this story. What do we value? What do we value in the world? He was telling me this one time. He was walking through Washington, Times Square. No, it was Wall Street. In the area, you know, if you've ever been in Washington or New York and they had that big bowl that's there, it was around that area. He says, I was walking there down the sidewalk. And I had somebody with me, and he says, you know, and the elder said, you hear that? And there was a flower box, just a flower box. And in it, you could hear this cricket. Tiny sounds of the cricket in that flower box. And he stopped and he told that young one, he says, nobody hears that. Nobody hears that cricket in that flower box because they don't value nature. They don't value the sound and the natural musics that are all around us. They don't value that. And I'll show you what they value. And so he took a $20 bill and he took it out and he held it up and he dropped it. And he went and sat down and watched. And he saw all those people just like that, reached down and they took that $20 bill. So you see, that's what they value. That's what they value. So I'm asking you. I just got to note that people can't hear me. Sometimes I get pretty quiet. So I'm asking you, what do you value? What do you value in the world? I value those sunrises. I love it because my wife, I value my wife right here. She just brought me a cup of coffee. Or over here. What is it?
Hot chocolate.
It's a hot chocolate. I love my hot chocolates, even if it's getting warm out there. So I value my wife. And I don't say that just because I have to, just because she's here right now. But I do. And so, but it's I'm really thankful for those sunrises. Have you ever been on the beach and then, you know, on the east or in Hawaii, and those sunrises, they come up and it's just beautiful. And what it is like suddenly everything is just black and white. Everything is black and white because it's still night out. It's still dark. And as you're out there on the beach or out there in the mountains, wherever you're at, and everything's just black and white. And then suddenly, just the first ray of sunlight starts to just beam out. That first ray of sunlight starts to beam out, just show itself. And then suddenly, color starts showing up in the world. Color starts to make itself seen and known. And then suddenly, as the sun keeps coming up, you start seeing the rays of light coming where that sun is coming up at. You start seeing those rays of light bursting out. And then suddenly, it appears. And you can tell that it's on its way because the trees, you can see the trees are actually vibrating with the anticipation of the sun. You hear the birds singing that dawn chorus with that anticipation of the sun showing up. And I'm really thankful for that when that sun appears and shows itself. And shows itself. I'm really thankful for sunrises. How about you? How about you? Yeah. And our water too. It's raining really hard this morning. Yeah, I'm really thankful for our water. So our life is a story. And how are we going to find those awesome mystics and be an awesome mystic? It takes training. It takes training to be that. You know, talking about New York. So I had a friend of mine. He years ago, he ran a theater company. His name's Dave Hunsaker. But Dave, he took a group of Yupik people straight from the village to New York City. They're going to do a show, showcase their culture, their songs, their dances, their presence, their spirit. They've never been to New York before. Some of them have never been on a plane before. And here they are flying to New York City. I remember this one time I flew into New York City with a gentleman by the name of Andrew Osprey from Coach City, Pueblo, USA. Maybe I'll tell a story about Andrew sometime. But Andrew, as we were flying into New York, he was sitting right next to the window. He was, an elder, a real elder, not an older. He was an elder. And as Andrew was like sitting there, he looked into the window and he goes, "Gee, look at all those buildings. That's New York City." I go, yeah, Andrew. He goes, "It looks just like headstones." And I looked and I saw and I said, "Yeah, Andrew, it does look like all those buildings look like headstones." It's really an interesting awareness, observation, especially coming from an elder from the Pueblo. So Dave took this group of Yupik people to New York City. So they had a little bit of time on their hands, and so they wanted to do something for the kids. And so they went to a petting zoo. And a petting zoo, what the heck? Some Yupik people from Alaska, their village, took them to a petting zoo. So they went to the petting zoo. All these ducks, geese, goats, donkeys, all these animals, whatever's there that they're engaging with, petting. And then it was a little Yupik kid. He said, this kid's probably about 5 years old. He came up to me with his backpack and a big smile on his face. And he goes, "I hunted." And Dave goes, "Yes, you did what?" "I hunted you." "You hunted?" "I hunted." And this little boy was so proud. And he opened up his backpack. And there was a duck inside his backpack. And Dave closes up his backpack and says, "Oh, you hunted." He didn't know what to do. So he zipped up the backpack. He says, "I will hold this for you. I will hold this for you." And so he held that backpack and he said, "No more hunting." And he went to all the other kids, everybody, and he gathered them all together. "We need to go. No hunting allowed. You can't hunt here. No hunting." All those little kids. So Dave had the backpack with the duck in it. Yeah. And he didn't know what to do. And he didn't want to crush this little boy's, that's what he grew up as. That's who he is. He's a hunter from the village. You see a duck, you'll hunt it. and you go eat it. And so what Dave did, which is the amazing thing, in New York City, Dave, he went to the back, found a bunch of pallets. He made a fire. And they dressed that duck. And in the back alley in New York City, Dave and his little hunter, and a few of his little hunter friends, ate duck. Ate duck. In New York City, he hunted. So it's one of those things, man. It's like, got to keep those little values alive. Keep it alive. I love that story. I love that story. I hunted. Those little kids. You know, I've been over to those Yupik villages, and what I love about watching those little kids, those Yupik kids, when you see those kids arguing, but they're arguing in their language. That tells you they know their language. They're arguing in their language. And so, yeah, I'm just here to talk with you. I'm just here to share with you. And just some stories. Again, we're all storytellers. And we're all awesome mystics, too. We all got that magic in us. We all have that magic in us. And so, if some of you are just joining, too, again, my name is Gene Tagaban. We're at the Native Wellness Power Hour. And I forgot to say this at the beginning because I just start going, man. I'm part of the Storytellers support group, and it's called On and On and On and On and On. Ask my wife. She'll tell me that's what I do. And so this session and the Native Wellness Power Hours were sponsored by the Noise Foundation. And I got to hand it out to the Noise Foundation. My hands go up to the Noise Foundation because they've not only gave us some funding to start these, but they also extended it. So that's so awesome. The Noise Foundation and NICWA, National Indian Child Welfare Association. You know, they're out there trying to take care of our kids, and so I thank them. You know, and a lot of our what we do for the Native Wellness Institute is to keep our ancestral wisdoms alive, to teach and to heal. And there's many ways of healing. You know, and I'm here again to teach, share stories. I'm still learning. I'm still. It's interesting. I'm going to these places now, and I'll be going, and they'll be asking, "Hey, we're going to start off with a prayer." And I'm going, "Oh, that's a good." My little voice in my mind going, "That's a good way to start." Yeah, okay. I say, "Okay, let's start off with a prayer." And I'm going, "Okay, I wonder who's going to say the prayer." And then they say, "We'll get an elder to say the prayer." Oh, okay, that's a good way. My little voice in my mind talking to myself. Oh, holy, yeah. And then they look at me and they go, "Mr. Gene, you want to start that prayer?" I'm going, thinking to myself, what? How the heck? I remember when I was a kid, my hair was black. Started this stuff, you know, and now it's like, look at my hair. Holy. Gee whiz. That's what happens. But I'm still learning. And you never stop learning. You never stop learning. I want to tell you this. About my grandma. You see, my grandma, my great grandma, we would sit there at her house, and we would sit there and we would watch The Price is Right. And she would always get it right. And you see, my great grandma, she couldn't speak English very well, but she could talk up a storm in Tlingit. Many things changed in my grandma's life. Planes, cars, man on the moon, more ways to love, and unfortunately, more ways to hate. My grandma, she loved to go to the Indian parties. Those old Indian parties when they'd last for 4 days, 4 nights, and they would just go. And my grandma, she'd be sitting there. She couldn't walk very well. Sometimes she'd walk with a cane. But as soon as those songs started started drumming, the singer started dancing. She would get up out of her chair and she'd start dancing and dancing and dancing all night long. And I would get tired. I'd go back home, go to bed, sleep, and I'd wake up in the morning, and my grandma was already awake. And my grandma would tell me, he says, "Try to learn something every day. Yeah, life is too short. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your life. Learn something every day." My grandma, my great grandma, would sit there and she would love to bead. She was an artist. She would make moccasins, tunics. She would make button blankets, button robes, and her beadwork was known throughout Southeast Alaska. And she would sit there on her chair and bead. And in the window right there where she would bead, she had hummingbird feeders, and the hummingbirds would come out in droves, always coming out. And my great grandma we'd just sit there and we would watch the hummingbirds. And she would just say, "Those hummingbirds, oh, they're really little fairies watching over you. Oh, grandson, I sure do love hummingbirds," she would say. This one time we were out walking and I saw a rainbow, beautiful rainbow. And my great grandma, she stopped me. She goes, "Son, you see that rainbow there? Every time you see a rainbow, you think good thoughts. And one day, you'll get your pot of gold." And she said, "Me? I've already given all my gold away." Said, "You learn something every day, grandson. Learn something every day. Look how old I am. Look how old I am. Oh, it doesn't matter how old I am. You learn something every day." Yeah. You know, I love sitting there with my great grandma. And there was one day, I bought a plane ticket to go see her, to go sit with her, to go be with her. The next day after I got the plane ticket, I got a phone call. I got a phone call that my grandma, she went to sleep. And when I went there to go see her, there she was, lying there. And in her hand, she had an eagle feather that I beaded for her. And I remember when I gave her that eagle feather, and she took that eagle feather and she got out of her chair and she started dancing. And there she was, laying there with that eagle feather that I beaded for her in her hand, and she's lying there. And I'm thinking to myself, just to myself, go, "Grandma, grandma, grandma, please get up, grandma, and dance for me, dance for me, dance for me." You know, oftentimes it's my turn to go out there on stage or go out there and dance. And oftentimes, too, I'll look out the window or by the trees and I'll see a little hummingbird watching me. I'll see a little hummingbird watching me. I sure do love hummingbirds. How are you guys doing out there? Yeah, we're just sitting here. It's just like sitting around the kitchen table. In fact, I'm going to start this thing is around the kitchen table, because oftentimes too, it's so many things get discussed around the kitchen table. Heck, we can solve the problems of the world. if we just like took all those discussions that happened around the kitchen table and actually did it, applied it, all the good things, all those spiritual, the spiritual natural laws, those things, and so it's like the stuff around the kitchen table. Thank you for my wife. She brought me a hot chocolate. She had to go. She headed out. She sent a package out because there's this thing that's going on Facebook that you can adopt a senior, and so they have all these senior profiles on there. Those who are supposed to be graduating this year, and so you can go out there and you can pick one of them, or two, or whoever else. So we went through it and we found this young man. He was his Chumash actually. Is from California. He's part Chumash, and he wants to grow up to be a police officer, law enforcement. And anyways, we picked him and we adopted him. And so he said he liked the Seahawks and he liked a few other things. And so we just put a care package together for him, of stuff, hat, posters, a little bit of food, candies, whatever it is. And we sent it to him. And so as my wife just got back from the post office after mailing that. So there's a program out there because those seniors are really, really kind of really bummed out because of what's going on. So adopt a senior. Adopt a senior. So as I'm going here, and again time just goes by. Like my uncle said, he says, sometimes time just goes by real slow. Sometimes time goes by real fast. Either way, it goes by. So make the most of your time. Yeah. So this is, to me, this is just like sitting around the kitchen table, having a cup of coffee, having some water, and just sharing, just talking back and forth. I see some of you are you're from Heidi Christensen from Alaska, Deb. And Lord Jones, thank you. Hey, my Uncle George. Oh, thank you. So that's my Uncle George. You want to see a storyteller? Holy, get that guy on here. We'll go for 2 weeks straight. Yeah, that guy is I love him. He's old family friend too from Alaska, and so. Gavin's on there. It's good to see you, Gavin. Hear from you. As I'm sitting here, we're just sitting around the kitchen table having a discussion and talking. Many stories came up. I don't know, for some reason this one's coming up for me. It just is, and that's what stories come up. They just want to be told, or they want just But again, I told you I'm a bike rider. And so as I was riding my bike this one time, I was riding next to a slough north Washington up in Bellingham. And as I'm riding my bike, it was a beautiful, beautiful day. It was actually a beautiful morning time at that time. I'm riding my bike, and I lived over there by on the Lummi Res. And there's a slough that ran out there, and the slough went all the way out to the waters, to the salt waters. And when the tide came up, that slough would fill up. And sometimes fish would go up that slough as well. And so I'm riding my bike up the slough, or along the side of the slough. So I'm riding my bike. Suddenly, I'm always looking down there. Because one of the things I loved about riding that slough, because Osprey. If you've ever seen an Osprey, man, they're amazing hunters, the Osprey. And there's this Osprey that would fly, and he'd circle around, and then he'd just like go right down that slough. I can tell he lived there for a long time. It was probably his parents, and maybe even his grandparents, would show that Osprey, the patterns, every turn, every curve of that slough. And if you ever watch the birds, we think that they just fly in straight lines, and sometimes they do. But they have certain paths. There's trails in the air. There's trails in the air that these same birds, their clans, their families have flown on for generations. and they know these trails. And it's just that clan will fly on those trails, because you see other birds, crows, I say crows, or that and robins, that they have their own paths from their family that has been passed on from generation to generation. And if you pay attention, you can see the paths that the birds fly in. It's as if you're watching, and you need to imagine seeing a line behind, tracers going behind each of the birds, and imagine seeing this. And that's part of being that awesomistic, looking for the awesome, but it's the magic that's out there, and creating that magic, being that awesomistic, and you're finding it out there. So the birds, they have generations of paths in the air they fly in. So this osprey, I could tell that they, through the generations, that osprey that learned from its ancestors the curves, and and how to hunt in this slough, because you'd fly back around if you didn't get anything, and come back around and just fly right over that slough again. Knew every turn, every curve in that slough, every old log in that slough, and every once in a while you come out, you would see that osprey had a duck in its talons, or sometimes the osprey would have a salmon in its talons, or whatever it is. But it was one time when I'm riding my bike along this slough, and I looked down to the side. I looked down there into the water, and I noticed something. It was big, just out of the corner of my eye. You ever, those things that you see out of the corner of your eye? And sometimes those things that we see out of the corner of our eyes. Have you ever had that thing where you say, oh, I just saw somebody, I swear I just saw somebody? To me, and what I grew up with, that my ancestral teachings was that, yes, there was somebody there. And those are your ancestors that are right there. Because our ancestors are always watching us. They're always around us. So if you think you see someone out of the corner of the eye, and then you look and nobody's there, that was your ancestor. And just know that your ancestors are always watching you. But it was out of the corner of my eye where I saw this figure, this something was down there in the slough. And so I turned my bike around, I pedaled back over there, and I saw down there, the bank in the slough, there was a sea lion. A sea lion was sitting, or laying there in the mud on the bank of that slough. I was just watching it, looking at it. And I saw that it was just still breathing, but it was breathing slow and deep. Slow and deep. And I don't know why I did this. I don't know why I did it. But something told me there's something going on. So I took off my biking shoes, just got down to my bare feet, walked through the grass, into the mud, slowly checked it out. That sea lion. It didn't raise its head, didn't do anything. Just, its breathing was just slow and deep, slow and deep. And so I got close up to this sea lion, probably about 5 feet away, and I was just looking at it. There's something going on. And then that sea lion, lifted its head and looked at me. It lifted its head and looked at me. You know, sometimes if you have a pet, a dog or something, and they communicate to you. They communicate to you, maybe not through words, but through feeling, through spirit, through energy, whatever that is. But he looked at me, or she, it was a she. She lifted her head, looked at me, and simply asked this question: why? 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 And then she put her head down, and she took her last breath. And I went up to that sea lion. I touched her head, felt her head, felt her body. And I could tell that life left this being. And then I started to ask this question, why? And it was just one of those things that I pressed her head and I found out I actually grasped her head and took a look. And she had a wound in her head, and I called up the animal, the fishing game, and they went down there and they inspected the body of this being, and they said that she was shot. Somebody shot her in the head. You know, I was upset. I was really mad. Why? I kept asking the question, why? You know, it's such a beautiful being. Why? You know, I could have been mad, but for some reason, as I was riding my bike, I know her spirit called out to me, wanted me to stop. She didn't want to be alone. So I went down there, and you know, and I could take it as like I could be really upset with it, you know, which I am. I'm not gonna lie. It makes me mad, upset. Things that go on in the world. You could be an Awesomystic and still be mad. That's okay. You can still see the hardness in life and even in your life. But what came to me was just, she reached out to me. For some reason, she knew that I'm going to send my spirit to this person who's riding the bike, and I don't want to be alone. And so what a gift. She gifted me. She gifted me with her presence. She gifted me. What an honor to be able to be there when she took her last breath. When she took her last breath. That there's somebody there. You know, that's how we are as Native people, eh? We have our family there. We're close. We have our clans. And I know there's a lot of people. That are really suffering out there right now because their people are dying alone. Their people are dying alone. All I could do is pray for them, their healing, that healing. And just know that ancestors are there. And just know that ancestors are there. That ancestors are watching, and amongst us thinking people, amongst the Native people too, is like when that time comes where it is time to walk into the spirit world, walk to the forest, walk alongside or walk to the other side of the river, whatever, however you phrase it, is that our ancestors will be there to get you, or to get them. And I just know that our Native people, I think about the Dene people, the Navajo people who are out down there who are having a hard time right now. They're suffering, and they can't be there with their family. What gives me comfort in that is that the spirit of their ancestors are there with them. This isn't just a belief. For me, this is a knowing. It's a knowing that I have. And I hear that knowing is because somebody of our elders, when it's time for them to pass on, they say, oh, my grandma's here, or my mom's here, or my uncle's here, or so they're here. And I know that when they start talking in that way, that it's time for them to go. And so those people, our Dene, I'm going to say with the Dene, White Mountain Apache is having a hard time too. I just know that their ancestors are there. Physically, we can't be there, but just know that they're not alone. They're not alone. Ancestors are with them, holding them. And I know those ancestors, those are hanging on to those nurses and those doctors too, because their ancestors are there too. Those Asian ancestors are with them. Those Scottish, Irish, German ancestors. Those Jamaican, African American ancestors. The Native American ancestors. All those ancestors are there to help there, and that's a belief I have. And that's part of being an awesome mystic, is looking into that, because to me, knowing that is awesome. That is awesome. And knowing that the magic is happening. Being that awesome mystic. It's happening. But it's up to us to listen. It's up to us to listen. Yeah. I don't even know what time it is here. Holy! Time goes by fast. Sometimes time goes by just really slow. Gosh, I love all you guys. I was just going to show you some things, because maybe there's some kids out there too, eh? I just want to show you this real quick. Check this out, man. Oh, I know some of you going, is that live? That live? No, this here, check this out. I collect things. Check out this beehive, man. I know. Check it out. Bees are amazing. Look what they create. This paper, and they just live in there. So I collect things like this. So this isn't the one, but this one time I collected a beehive. And it was in the fall time, and it was really cold outside. And so there was no activity. I was scouting out this here beehive for a while, because I wanted to get it before the winds kicked up and the rain, and then it would be knocked out of the tree and it would be ruined or destroyed. And so I climbed the tree, cut the branch, and I got this here beehive. It wasn't this one. And I put it in my car. And as I'm in my car, that suddenly things start to warm up. I got the heater on in there. I went into the store, and so I came back out. And just before I was about to open the door to my car, I looked inside, and my car was full of bees. Yeah, I know. I had to call my wife. I need a ride home. She goes, why? Why don't you just drive home? My car's full of bees. And she goes, what did you do? I left a beehive in there. I thought it was dormant. Anyways, I love bees. I love collecting these things too, to show them to kids. Kids love this stuff. They love to hang on to it and touch them and feel this stuff. Yeah, that's about during that dirt time. That dirt time, yeah. So anyways, I wanted to show you that, yeah. And my wife, and I'm going to say it out, she says, you're such a dumbass. I know. I can be a dumbass sometimes too. You know, so there's that. And so another thing too I wanted to show you here is another thing I collect. Check it out. I collect nests. I collect these nests. And this one here is made out of mud. You got dirt in there. You got like little branches and stuff in there. And I love this. Birds are amazing. I mean, they can make this. They don't even have hands. They have feet. They have their things and their beaks. You know, but they make this. They collect the mud and through their saliva, and they just layer it on, bring a little piece of wood. We could not make this. You could not make this. But check it out. Check it out. This here mud. This here nest right here. I love showing kids these things. That's part of doing that dirt time. And I want to show you this one here. This was gifted to me by a brother in Hawaii. His name's Kaplan. But it's a Japanese, little Japanese bird makes this little fragile nest. Check that out, man. Holy. Look at that. Yeah. But these here are like gifts. I love these here, the spirit that of these animals, you know, and that they have. I love collecting these things. And so I got a bunch of other things too. I got a bunch of other nests and skulls and things. Sometimes I'll go out someplace, and this one time I was in Nevada on a phone call with my wife, and my wife, she goes, I'm talking with her, and then all of a sudden I said, oh my goodness, what the heck is that? Oh, you won't believe what I'm looking at right now. And she just says, leave it there. I said, no, you can't, you won't believe it. But it was this huge, long snake skin. They just shedded. And I was like looking down at this here snake skin that just got shedded. And she's going, leave it there. I took it. I have it stashed in one of my boxes here. I know she knows I have it someplace. So here, this nest here. So check out this nest here. It's kind of cool. This little nest I have, keeping it together here. But check it out. There's a little egg in there. There's a little egg in there that didn't hatch. Yeah, check it out. Take a look at there. Yeah. But yeah, kids love this stuff, man. And as adults, be the kid. Be a child. Be that kid. Don't lose that. And when you like have that youthfulness in you, because kids are always like looking at that for that awesome. Kids are always looking for that awesome. So just be that kid. Be that child. Don't grow up too fast. Don't take life so serious, eh? And take this time as we're here just to take this time to look within. Take that time to look within. Who are you? Who are you? What kind of human being do you want to be? What kind of elder do you want to be? And when that time comes, what kind of ancestor do you want to be? Work on your healing now. And in working in your healing now, you're helping that spiritual, ancestral spiritual healing happen as well. When we heal in this world, we're helping our ancestors heal as well. Because they left this world with a lot of hurts and pains and trauma as well. And look for the awesome in all things. It's around you. Sometimes we get stuck. Sometimes life will just suck. And it does. That's life, man. Don't stay in the suck. Look for the awesome and the magic in the world. Be an Awesomystic. The awesome and the mystical. Find it. Look for it. And if you have a problem finding it, just go look in a mirror. It's right there. So my brothers and sisters, thank you for this time. Thank you. Again, thank you for the Native Wellness Institute. Thank you for Noise, Nikwa, our brothers and sisters, our ancestors, the animals around us, the wind, the air, the sunsets, the sunrises, our pets, the spirit. Thank you. So until next time, we'll talk to you later. Tomorrow we got songs of the spirit at noon. Come and join in. Just sit and listen. As if we're sitting around the kitchen table. Join in. So until next time, thank you. Take care. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Hoi.